All right, tonight our Believers Court is sink or swim. The case of sink or swim is dealing with the flood, the Great Flood, the worldwide flood, Noah's Ark, all those things. So we're going to have our presentation at this time. We'll start off with our intro video.
What you're seeing is a battle for people's minds. The participants are actors debating God as creator. Entering in the courtroom is the plaintiff, Dr. N.O. Flood, a geologist. He believes there never was such a thing as Noah's flood. Now entering is the defendant, Dr. Phil D. Ark. He believes that the world was deluged and destroyed by water, and that Noah, his family, and the animals on the ark were saved. You are witnessing the case of sink or swim.
All rise. The Honorable Judge called me is now provided. Your Honor, case number 061516, case of sink or swim, Dr. N.O. Flood versus Dr. Phil.
Thank you, Harlan. You may be seated. Welcome to my courtroom, ladies and gentlemen. You know, Harlan, I hope that I have a son like you one day. You seem to be a good boy. Now to business. I have reviewed the complaint. I've reviewed the complaint. I read the story of Noah's flood from the Bible, and I've reviewed the scientific research. So would the plaintiff please give his full name and occupation for the record?
Your Honor, I am Dr. N.O. Flood, PhD in geology. I legally changed my name because there has never been such thing as a worldwide flood.
Well, what was your name before that?
It was Dr. Education.
What was your birth name?
Your Honor, Ed Jones.
Okay then. Well,
You'll have to change that name after you lose this case.
would the defendant please give his full name and occupation for the record?
Yes, Your Honor. I am Dr. Phil D. Ark, a geologist and a creationist.
Dr. N.O. Flood, you have accused the defendant of missing the boat. Tell me why you believe that.
Well, Your Honor, Dr. Phil D. Ark is simply ignoring all of the evidence that science has given us about fossils and any flooding in history. Dr. Phil D. Ark would rather believe this book, the Bible, rather than the evidence that all of the experts know is true. There was never an ark, there was never a worldwide flood, and there was never this one family that was spared. There is just no physical evidence for a worldwide flood. There is not enough water on the earth to even cover the entire earth, including the mountaintops. And where is this ark? This cute little ark would never have held all of the animals in the world, plus food, and be able to survive for 40 days.
For someone who doesn't believe in a flood, did you see his pants? Let's see. How about the plaintiff give his full name and occupation? It's the defendant, I'm sorry, for the record.
Thank you, Your Honor. We have a complete record of what is popularly known as Noah's flood. It happened around 4,400 years ago. Noah's flood is one of the most impactful events on planet Earth. The foundations opened up, water came shooting out of the ground and from the sky like never seen before. It rained for 40 days and 40 nights. There was so much rain that it covered the earth, the entire earth.
Your Honor, how can you believe such a fairy tale? It is impossible for water to cover the earth. Mount Everest, have you heard of that? It could never be covered.
Then how do you explain fish fossils on the top of Mount Everest? Why are there fossils of sea animals on most mountains?
Dr. N.O. Flood, is this correct?
Yes, Your Honor, but all this evidence that that Dr. Phil DeArt has? Is this it? You know, the Bible does not say global. The Bible could have meant that maybe a part of the earth was covered.
Oh, you want to go? Oh no, Your Honor, there is so much more. Almost every civilization has a story of a large flood with one family being spared on a boat. How could people that never met and lived on different continents have the same story? The Native Americans, Aborigines, Africans all have the same story. It's stated in the Bible that the foundations ripped apart. The smooth, calm flood that most children's stories books refer to, well, it's far from the real event. If you can imagine the biggest flash flood ever and magnify it, then you may have an idea of what the real Noah's flood is like.
Really, there is no boat that can survive the flood you are describing, and none that is large enough to hold all of the animals. Therefore, this flood that you described, it simply did not happen. It is impossible that man and animals could survive all of this. This Noah you're talking about is off his rocker. This is crazy. You still cannot explain how all of those animals could fit in the ark, and what about all the food needed to feed them?
This is quite easy to explain, actually. The ark was a huge boat, larger than anything that was ever built at that time, and larger than most ships today. Since you are, as we can see, a brilliant scientist, then I know you are familiar with genetics. Noah did not have to take every type of dog, cat, and cow, and dinosaur.
Dinosaur?
Dinosaur?
Dinosaur.
Yes, dinosaur. There were dinosaurs living during Noah's time. Noah's sons may have even had a dinosaur as a pet.
Dr. Phil DeArt, you must be out of your mind. How can you believe that dinosaurs and humans lived together?
Man, you need to calm down. What's your name?
My name is Mrs. N.O. Flood. Judge Pauline, I have a friend, his name is Dr. P. Brain, and he would like to bring his case to the Believers Court next week about dinosaurs.
Your Honor, don't you have some free time next week for the case of dinosaurs?
I believe so, Carly. I will see Dr. P. Brain up here next week, but let's get back to this at hand. Now, Dr. Phil DeArt, how could all of those animals fit and survive on the ark?
Well, Your Honor, Noah did not need to take two of every species, just two of every kind, male and female. The way genetics works, the two dogs would be carrying the DNA needed to form a poodle, a German Shepherd, and even that ugly dog in the corner there. Over time, and through separating populations, different species of animals will dominate that population. I am sure that God also had Noah take young, small animals, which would sleep most of the time and not require as much food. Christ likened the coming judgment of all men to the judgment of all men in the days of Noah in Matthew 24. A partial judgment in Noah's day means a partial judgment to come. Scripture does not stand if the flood was not global.
Anything else, Dr. N.O. Flood?
Your Honor, this is all silliness. Worldwide flood, ark, animals, coming judgment. I choose not to believe a word of it.
Dr. Phil DeArt, do you have anything else?
No, Your Honor.
All right, well, I believe I've heard enough. I will be back shortly with our ruling.
All right, well, is Dr. Phil DeArt going to sink or going to swim? We don't know. The judge is ruling. Judge Pauline's ruling in just a moment. Well, our live studio audience here tonight, you've heard both sides of the arguments from our defendant over here, our plaintiff over here who brought the case. And we wanted to get some comments from our live audience here tonight. So let's see here. This young man, you look like you're ready to give a comment. What do you think about Dr. N.O. Flood's testimony?
I certainly believe there was a worldwide flood. All you have to do is look at is the Grand Canyon.
All right, well, thank you, sir. Appreciate that very much. Let me go back over here. This young lady's got her hand up. She must really have something to say today. You've seen what Dr. Phil DeArt and Dr. N.O. Flood said. What do you think about what Dr. Phil DeArt said?
Dr. Phil DeArc is ignoring all of the science data. I think he's all wet in his own messed up beliefs.
All right, well, thank you. Appreciate that very much. And we're going to go back over here. And right here, sir, you have something to say tonight about the trial?
Doctor, what a name! There was never such a thing as a flood in an ark.
Never such a thing as a flood in an ark. Wow. All right, so we were getting all sorts of things. Let's see here. How about you, ma'am? Do you have a comment tonight about what's going on up here?
Well, the Bible's never been disproved. So if God said He judged the world with a worldwide flood, you better believe it. And if you don't, you better be right.
That's good preaching right there. All right. She might have a son or a preacher or something. Who knows? All right. Well, we've heard from our studio audience the judge has been working on her ruling, and now it's time to turn it back over to her for her ruling tonight.
You may keep your seats, but the Honorable Judge following is recited.
Well, I have heard the evidence. I've reviewed everything. My ruling today is that Dr. Phil DeArc is not missing the boat. He knows what he's talking about. You know, the evidence is overwhelming of a worldwide flood, and I don't understand why you can't see that. The Bible tells us, if you just read it yourself, Dr. N.O. Flood, you are the one who has missed the boat. You and the whole world would be right to listen to what Dr. Phil DeArc has to say and what the Bible has to say about this. This is my ruling. You do something with that hair. It's a mess.
All right, we've heard from Judge Pauling, and she has made her ruling, and we want to hear from our plaintiff and defendant, and Dr. N.O. Flood. We're really honored to have you here tonight, but you lost. So what do you think about the ruling?
The judge is wrong. This Phil DeArc, he's emboldened now to speak about this flood, the Bible, and I'm sure Jesus Christ. I still believe that science shows us everything we need to know about the world, and I just don't need this Bible. I just don't need this.
Thank you, sir. All right. Well, Dr. Phil DeArc, I'm sure that you're glad for the judge's ruling today.
Yes, sir. God is so good. I'm so happy that I've had this opportunity to speak about God's flood, the Noah's flood, and how great God is. He's changed my life. My passion is to know Him, to love Him, and to serve Him. And just so glad that He's saved me.
All right. Well, thank you, sir. We'll go this way. Well, it ends the case of Sink or Swim. Join us next week for the case of T-Rex is my neighbor.